Okay, and we are live. Every time when we go live, I try to not repeat that every time I'm not sure about it, but every time I repeat that, I'm not sure if we are live.
It's funny though, because there's no, at least on my end, I don't see anything that's like you're on LinkedIn now or you're live now. So it's like,
Yeah, because we are streaming it from Zoom. But anyway, but you know what? It says a lot about us that we are not, having tech issues as a forcing stop, and we are continue doing that after 5 episodes.
exactly. And it's talking a little bit, it's saying a little bit about us as our confidence, right?
Yes, yes,
As the
and
topic of today.
I was gonna say was a really good path, by the way, about our topic today. And I see that people are starting joining live. And welcome everyone. I'm so excited for everyone that is actually joining us. And in case you don't know me, my name is Christina. I am a life and business coach, author, and also multi-business owner. And with me together, I have my lovely Snezana. It's also my accountability partner, a fellow coach, but I love letting people introduce themselves. And so I'm giving you the way to introduce yourselves and say whatever you want.
Thank you. I feel like we should record this and then play it every time,
Yes.
recording live, your hosts for today. For those of you who don't know me, my name
Mhm.
is Snezana. I am a business coach and leadership trainer, and I focus on growth mindset. So I help leaders and
Mm.
individuals develop and build their growth mindset through setting goals, productivity, accountability, which is a part where Christina jumps in as well. And as of recently, Christina and I are focusing our efforts on building a program, a group coaching program for female entrepreneurs. But
Yes.
if you want to learn more about that, just message us. I just wanted to point it out there because usually you're the one
Yeah.
who's doing that intro.
Yeah, but we're actually saying things today, I guess.
It's
Yes.
good, building resilience.
Yes, indeed. I was gonna also add that I'm really excited of what we are building now. We just open our wait list for the program.
Mhm.
That is gonna be a group coaching program for women in business that want more. Not only want more, but they want to grow together and so many more. But this is not, about that. We gotta jump right away into our life. This is
Mhm.
an active life. So I want to ask everyone that is watching us live to ask questions, even say hi. So if you want to say hi, from where are you hearing us? We love these things. So jump on in the comments. This is again an active live. And we're gonna start answering your questions because confidence for me and for Snezana is also a really important topic. Confidence for me is is our force to keep moving forward besides
Mm.
every other thing. But confidence is a really valuable ingredient for us to grow, because when you have the confidence, it's like having an special ingredient to be able to step up out of your comfort zone and things like that. But let us know what is your perspective about confidence, and specifically in business.
Yep. Are you asking me or
Yes, yeah,
the
yes,
group?
but it was for both actually. But the good point. Yeah, it wasn't clear. It was for the audience and for you. so
All right.
so go.
Well, for me, confidence in general is a trust in your abilities. That's what I would
Mm,
say, because you can be, of course, we are confident about things that we know.
yes.
The more we learn about a certain field or an
Mm-hmm.
area, be it business or personal, the more confidence we gain. When we
Mm,
try something out for the first time, we're not as confident, but then once we have that experience, we become more confident. And so it
yes.
grows with experience. But what I really wanted to point out today in this live, and if there's one thing from me that people can take, is that confidence is really the
Mm,
trust in your abilities. So,
mm,
you may not have the knowledge of a certain thing, but you do know how much you can do. you do know what you're capable of because you've come thus far with your abilities. And if you look back, it's your abilities that helped you go through school, maybe, or face challenging situations, or just enjoy life in general. So
Mm,
I really wanted people, I mean, we'll talk about different aspects as well, but there's this one thing that I think we all have. So you can't, there are abilities that we all have. Some are developed more, some are developed less, but you know what your abilities are. You're capable of certain things. And that's the trust that you can always have. So it's the confidence that you can always have. No matter what you do, where you are in life, what's going on, you are capable of doing certain things. So I think that's my starting message for today.
a really powerful one. That's
It's so
amazing.
important. It's really important because we usually focus on
Mm,
um, oh, but I don't have knowledge of X or Y, so I'm not going to go into it. Or first have to learn some things to be able to
mm,
do X,
yeah,
right? Um, but what I'm trying to say is, yes, that's correct. But also
but
just try, exactly, trust that you can, because you can, you are
Mm,
capable. There's very little that is limiting us from the physical world.
mm,
Like maybe I always have this example of maybe you cannot be an astronaut if you have asthma. I don't know. Maybe that's like a prerequisite to go to space.
mm,
You can't have asthma. But so that's something that you can't control, right?
mm.
But most of the other things, unless they're really like physical obstacles, they're mostly in our mind.
Yes.
And so we can work on our mind, definitely. So that's something that we can change.
There is there is so many things that we can say or believe that can limit us. And I, strongly believe that part of our limiting beliefs are also, a kind of confidence and limiting belief are two connected ingredients.
Agreed, agreed.
And and especially in entrepreneurs, since we both work into with entrepreneurs, there is so many things that we don't have, especially at the beginning, and
Mm,
we either need to figure it out. And even in our occasion, we are starting this coaching program. We haven't figured out everything from the beginning. We are
yeah,
trying things and we are changing things. We are shifting. We were doing things, and even in our business, I mean, we need to try things and shift things. We will not have everything figured it out from the beginning in order to
mm,
start. And it's also connected to the delusion of perfect and perfectionism that I believe there is no perfect, in my opinion. Like, you can be professional, yes, you can be doing an amazing job or doing your best, but what is perfect? And I feel like perfect is this need to always have the perfect example, the perfect work, the perfect starting point, the perfect business action plan that in the reality is actually stopping us from thriving. That because you can start with just having a really good one and then figure out things than
yeah,
waiting for everything to be perfect.
yep, yep. I think a big part in that is clarity. And what I mean by that is knowing what you're expecting. So knowing the outcomes. The problem with limiting beliefs and the problem with perfectionism is, well, one of them is the lack of clarity. And
Mm,
so what we're trying to do, and especially with confidence, when we're building confidence, if you're expecting too much, then yeah, you're going to be discouraged. Yes, you're going to be demotivated
yeah.
because what you're expecting is way over here, and what you really need to do is way down here.
Mm,
So, it's kind of like that when we can't see a tree from a forest, right? We need to
mm,
start small. So, the way to build and boost your confidence is really to start small, regardless of what you do. Set smaller goals or set a big goal, but break it down into smaller chunks so that you can go ahead achieving these smaller milestones or tasks, however you want to call them. But if you start small, then you really start building things up. And so you can, look back at the past week, the past month, and you see so many wins. And those wins propel you forward. But if you're just focused on, yeah, I did all that, but that was just a part of, I still haven't
Mm,
reached my end goal. Well, yeah, because probably your end goal is a big goal, which is natural. But if you just keep being motivated by what you haven't done and where
yeah.
you haven't been, it's really hard to stay motivated that way. And that's why our confidence is getting low because you keep seeing what you're not doing instead of focusing on seeing what you are doing. I'm not saying ignore the negative or ignore the warning signs or whatever. No, be aware of the other
Mm.
side too. But you choose what you want to focus on. And speaking of wins, that's kind of your area. So, so I'm sure you have something to add there, but I really do think that part of how we build our confidence and boost it is to have our focus on our wins, whether they're big or small.
Thank you for, giving me the way. But I also
Set the
wanted to
stage.
add, yes, I'm losing my thought. You see the loading part above my head because I was thinking before going into wins, I think we haven't mentioned that because I was also trying to answer to everyone in the comments
Uh-huh.
that confidence is something that you build on. I mean,
Hmm.
you can be confident in public speaking or things like that, and not being confident about something else, or
Right,
vice versa.
right.
You It's not that you are this confidence person, and then you can, it's adding up in ingredients, as I said earlier. And in one of my webinars, I use this metaphor like confidence is like a wall. You start having bricks by bricks. If you feel like you're not a confident person, you just need to add a brick by brick by brick by brick to build this confidence. And just like that, one step at a time to build this wall of your confidence. And it's also confidence, self-confidence is also related to our self-respect, our self-love, how we treat ourselves, how we
True.
talk to ourselves. And I know this love is specified in the business, but it's also really important to acknowledge that our business is us. Everything starts from us. So kind of, first of all, I wanted to acknowledge that and then go into the wins are also having the the clear perspective, the clear eyes to acknowledge that you have achieved so much and not focus at the end of the journey, not focus that I need to, let's say, wins are there to help us acknowledge all the journey and not the end,
Mm.
like, because our goal is like climbing into a mountain, and I use that metaphor a lot. It's like climbing into the mountain and you believe that the success is when you gonna go to the, on top of the mountain, or the final destination, whatever it's gonna be, to see the sunset. But in the reality, through this journey, you're gonna see all these, might be animals, might be these trees, might be, enjoying the fresh air, that it's part of the journey. And also this is your wins, and in our
Yeah.
daily lives, this is your daily wins. And funny enough, um, this is the first time that I'm sharing that. Last week, I made an experiment. My book is published based on personal exercises that I'm doing in myself, because I was being someone that I was focusing on, the win, the end goal. And then I wasn't, I was focusing from the goal and then not enjoying and acknowledging the whole journey. So I
Mm.
started doing this exercise with myself, acknowledging my daily wins. And I saw all these results, and and then started creating my book and added a few also exercises on it and things like that. So it's been 2 years that I published my book, and I wanted to make an experiment last week and don't journal at all to
Okay.
to test it out. I don't know from where it came, this decision, but I felt the need to stop and not writing my daily wins. I'm gonna say that in 4 days, the first day, um, I an ultimate force was making me, let's say, sit down and write all the wins that I have in journal. I was doing my gratitude routine, but in a different way. I was kind of, when I was taking shower, I was thinking the wins that I have achieved this day. So to give you, I'm sharing this with you to give you an example that when we build our power routines so established, because I've been doing this ritual, let's say, for 2 years, they cannot go away. They change us in a so positive way and transform us as a person, as an individual, as a mindset, as a business owner, that you might, let's say, take a break, but they are there. They are part of you now, and they surely make a big part of my confidence, because I'm not forgetting what I've achieved, what I have, how I have grown daily in order to be here and
Right,
to go there that I want to go.
right, right. You made a really good point, not on the win side, but before that, you said,
Mm,
we may be more confident in one area and less in another.
yes.
Um, and I think that it's a good one to stress out and point out because we can use the confidence that we have in a specific area to kind of transfer it to something that we're doing new. Why and how? Well, just think, let's say you are confident in public speaking. You weren't born confident in public speaking. You build that skill. So if you
Mm,
remember your beginnings, you can see that you weren't as great at the very beginning, like the first public appearance you've ever done.
yeah.
It can be like a school in front of a the board or in front of your classmates, whatever your first time was doing something in public, how did that feel? How did that go? And then you're slowly building it up to get to where you are now. So we tend to forget that some of the skills that we have now, we've invested our time in developing them. And just because I feel confident about X, it doesn't mean I won't feel confident about Y. It just means that I need to build it up as well. So just reminding ourselves that there are things where we do feel confident. Maybe we're not as confident in our business. Fine. You'll get there, especially if you're just starting out. But there are other things that you can lean on that can help you, right? So it builds together your whole person,
Yes.
not
Yes.
just one aspect of yourself.
Mm. There is so much to add on what confidence is and what things, but generally is you said about the new things and the first time, and it's stepping also out of our comfort zone. And
Yeah.
in order to grow, we need to step out of our comfort zone, because if we continue doing the same thing, nothing will change. We
Mhm.
change a bit through to circumstances and around areas and things like that, but the biggest growth happen when we step out of our comfort zone, and we need confidence for that. We need the
Right.
motivation for that. And that's why I said in the beginning of this life that it's an essential ingredient for our growth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more we trust our
Mm,
abilities, the more likely we are to try new things. The more
yes.
confident we are, the better decisions we can make, or we can take more
Yes.
calculated risks. It's really connected. But another thing I wanted to point out is, since you mentioned understanding your why and knowing why you do what you do, I also wanted to say for confidence, even though we don't think about it that way,
Mm,
to be able to be confident, you need to have clarity. And in
mm,
order for you to have clarity and clear mind, you need to take care of yourself.
yes. Yes.
Part of that is, eating well, sleeping well. We often tend to burn out or feel overwhelmed by, yes, okay, all the things that we need to do, especially as business owners. If you're a solopreneur or you have a very small team, you're carrying a lot of different hats, and it is overwhelming. It's a lot that you have to think about day in and day out. But that's precisely why we need to keep thinking, okay, what am I doing for myself that is helping me stay strong? Like exercising, whatever exercise looks like for you. It can be the gym, it can be a different class, it can be walking, it doesn't matter.
Mm,
But being physically active
yes,
stimulates our brain. You know, if you sleep well, your confidence is going to be better. So it's some of, I just wanted to point out to some things that they're not as obvious, you know, that we may not
yes,
think about, but that affect our confidence and how we feel on any given day. And confidence goes up and down. We just need to remind ourselves when we're on the low, you just need to remind yourself of the successes that you've had, or, you know, maybe this week sucks, but hey, last week was great. So just lean on to that. You know, having this positive mindset is really important for building our confidence or boosting our confidence, both in life and business. But since we're focusing on the business, it really matters. What we do outside of our business hours is important. And if you don't have outside of business hours, that's an issue right there. Because what happens is you can't think clearly. If you're spending your, 24/7 in the business, then when are you taking care of yourself? When are you resting? When are you investing in yourself? You said we are some for some of us, that's true. We are our business, especially if you're a solopreneur. Even if you have like a team of 1,000 people, it's still you're the image of the business, and you need to spend time with yourself. So it's something that may not be super obvious, but is
yes.
really important.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that we need to be sole entrepreneurs to be the business, but if you have, I've seen entrepreneurs having, tons of team members, but
Yeah,
how we are as individuals affects the business. I mean,
yeah.
you might have the team, you might, but affects the business. And and you said something about sleep, and etc. It's so important to acknowledge that it and it's mainly, what I communicate with this platform is that it's not either life, either business. They are both important,
Mm,
and and I, I as our sales are a priority in order for you to grow your business. Because if you're not, again, sleeping well, or not having enough, food or things like that, how you're gonna have the energy, the power to fuel the business and all that it comes with the business, the struggles, the barriers, the failures, the new, especially at the beginning when you start doing something and then you figure it out, other billion things that you haven't figured it out from the beginning, and that's okay. But you need to have the mindset to be able to overcome the barrier and convert the barrier into your business assets.
mm.
But I think now it's time to start answering questions.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But
Shoot, let's see.
okay,
What are
so
people curious about?
I don't like changing, let's say, questions, so I'm gonna be reading
Yeah,
them as they come.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So it starts with, it's not perhaps the best worded question, but I'm curious about finding a good balance between confidence and arrogance.
Hmm, interesting.
Mm,
Okay. Um, okay. Do you have idea? Do you want to go first? Do you have any ideas?
I think you need to go first.
Okay. So I would say confidence includes both the negative and the positive.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Whereas I believe arrogance is something, and this is just my perspective, but arrogance for me is you're not willing to take into consideration the other side of the coin, somebody else's opinion, whatever it is. Being confident doesn't mean that you know it all.
Mm,
Actually, I would say being confident means being ready to admit that you're wrong, or
exactly.
being comfortable making a mistake. and owning that mistake and saying, well, okay, I was wrong. I didn't do that right, but let me see how I can improve that. So, it takes
Mm.
courage to do that because nobody likes to be wrong, right? So I think for me, that's the main difference. Arrogance to me is just kind of one-sided. There's no balance there. Whereas confidence is a whole thing. There's the black and white and the gray, the right and wrong, and somewhere in between. So that would I would say in a nutshell, that's how I would define it.
Mm.
In business, just to give an example, in business that would mean, let's say you're a team leader or you're a business owner, um, taking into consideration what your team members have to offer, acknowledging their efforts, and even if you think they're wrong, communicating that in a nice way, being respectful of others, that's confidence. You don't need to be rude to be
Mm.
confident. But also, if you're, a business owner, you made a mistake, you don't want your team to know that you made a mistake. That's wrong. It's okay. What you do is you show them by example
Yes.
that things happen, but what they're going to learn most from is how you address that mistake, what you
Mm.
did with the issue that came up. That's what distinguishes confident
Mm.
leaders from the ones who are not so, or the ones who are maybe even arrogant. An arrogant business owner would be really just a know-it-all. So, nobody knows better than they do. Whatever they do is just the right thing. Um, and it's this, there's for people who are more into energy and feelings, like there's this air of this is my space, don't mess with me. And you're a lesser kind, whereas with confident people, it's welcoming and it's contagious, like in a positive way. It's addictive because when you're near a confident person, you can feel that. That's there. There we go. You can you can take over. That's my take on it.
No, I was thinking so many things while you're, I know my face is showing when I'm thinking, and I was thinking so many things and so many, examples of, what you actually shared. That's why I was having this face. But also I wanted to emphasize on when is someone a sole entrepreneur, the balance there is that you don't accept feedback. You are more
Right.
on an arrogance. And let's say you receive a bad, it's also having with feedback, but a bad, let's say, customer. So, we have bad customers based on the business, but you are not taking responsibility of the thing. So it's also what is, the fine line between confidence and, being an arrogant and things like that. But it's also, taking the responsibility and say, okay, that happened. How we can improve it, how we can grow, how we can learn from it. And it's also about mindset, but it's making,
Mm,
a huge impact also as being a sole entrepreneur, because being an employee, you can blame the work, the environment, your colleagues, the boss. But being in a business owner, especially as a sole entrepreneur, who you gotta be blaming? I
yeah.
mean, you have only you to blame. Either you can, you can blame the market, or
Or
the
the
things like
universe.
the universe, the air, and things like that. But in the reality, when you start taking 100% responsibility of things, is where you can grow.
Mm. I would really, for me, like confidence is inviting. If
Mm,
I'm next to somebody who's confident, I want to be that. I want to feel that
yeah.
way. Whereas arrogance, you can tell, the simplest way to say it is if you start losing friends or if people stop talking to
Mm,
you, you've probably crossed that line. So, making sure that you have the right support system
mm.
is important. And if you're confident, people are going to be there for you. If you're arrogant, you might want to look around and see who's there.
Yes, yes. Okay. And I'm going to jump to the second question that is actually from the same person and continue and say, she says, And second one is how to manage relationships where your peer stakeholders are overly confident without having a good grasp on the topic. They are being so confident about it.
Mm, questions. For me, that it always works. So communication is a tricky business, right?
Mm,
But what I would say is if you have stakeholders, peers who seem to be overconfident in things they don't know much about, questioning them is always a good way to show them that there are holes in their reasoning. Questioning not as in interrogation, but if they have they say a statement, you go ahead and ask, oh, okay, well, how did you get to that conclusion? Or how did you come up with that? Where did you find that information? How did you read, where did you read that? So what you're trying to do is you're trying to ask them for arguments. So I'm curious, I need more information. I need to understand. Can you give me more? Can you share more? That's always a good first start because you're not being aggressive or anything, and you're not accusing the other person, because that's definitely a wrong way to go. That's where our guard goes up. The moment we feel attacked, we get defensive, and then no communication happens. So the first thing I would say is think about what it is that you'd like to know more about their statements, their plans, whatever they're sharing, or where they seem to not know enough but seem super confident. You want to bring awareness to them. That's the first step, because otherwise it's just going to be, I said, you said, and that's where it pretty much stops. We need to understand that we're wrong from our own perspective. And sometimes we see that easily and accept it, but there
mhm,
are people who are really it's hard for them to accept that they're wrong. So in that case, you need to create, well, a safe environment, but an environment where they can look at the data, the facts, the arguments and say, oh, okay, well, maybe that
mm,
wasn't, maybe I should have searched more, or I shouldn't have said it that way, whatever it is. But that would be my piece of advice. That's how I would go about it.
mm. Okay. And also adding to this one, that sometimes it's helpful to ask what is my goal with this relationship, like what I prefer more,
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely,
like
absolutely.
I want to continue this relationship, like,
Yes,
have as in mind that they are not knowing what they're saying about what they preach and things like that. And then how we gotta go about it is also helping defining
agreed.
our so I stopped because I was seeing
I
the
I can
panel.
see your eyes going on the screen.
Yeah, because it's showing me that we froze on the live, but I don't know what happened. So anyway, I think we are. That's why sometimes I'm changing
No,
faces.
that's okay. All good. All good.
Okay. So I was saying that it's also having, let's say, a clear goal what we want our relationship to be with everyone, like stakeholders, peers, or things like that.
Yep. Yep. Oh, absolutely. If this is a person who's doing this over and over and over, you might
Mm,
want to ask yourself, is it worth it?
mm.
And if it is, then you go with questions.
Um, uh, and I think it's time now to ask if you have more questions, you can send
Oh,
them
yeah.
in the comments. I'm gonna continue reading the rest of the questions.
Mm.
So the next question is, what are some practical daily habits or routines that can help me build and maintain my business confidence?
Mm. That's a good one. Very practical. Uh, One thing that immediately comes to mind is writing down your wins, writing them down, recording them, whatever. But it's good to have them somewhere where you can see them.
Yes,
So it's
thank
not
you for
just in your
saying that.
mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So because, you know, we forget, it's natural. But if we
Mm-hmm.
have something, especially if you like journaling, that's amazing because then you
Yeah.
definitely journal them. But if somebody's not into that, that's okay. Just have a place where you somehow note down what's going on because, you know, when you go back 5 months
Yes.
ago, you get to remember some things and you're like, oh yeah. So it helps you
Mm.
move forward. That's one thing. Another thing I would say is definitely having a healthy, well, as healthy as possible routine, like being physically active, making sure you eat well, you sleep well. I know it sounds funny, but really when you're tired, you're less likely to make good decisions. You're less likely to be productive. And if you're not being productive, with time, you start seeing it as I'm doing so much and I'm not getting any results done. And it may not be because you don't know how to do it. It could be because you're not performing at your best. So those would be like two immediate things that I would say. Another thing, and then I'll let you go, is um, setting clear goals because if you can set daily goals, you know, have a to-do list, however you want to call it, but you know, write down what are the things that you want to achieve today, and then check them off as you keep achieving them. But make sure you don't create like a list of 20 things you need to get done because that's not productive at all. It's just going to overwhelm you or you're going to start procrastinating. So start your day with like 3 to 5 tasks that you want to achieve. The bigger the task, the lesser the number. Um, but then once you've achieved them all, and if it takes an hour, great. You've done them all in an hour, you can add more. But don't overflow your to-do lists. The point of a to-do list is not to have a never-ending list. It is to help you set priorities and focus on what matters. You can't possibly have 20 priorities.
Mm.
It's just not realistic. So those are some of the tips that I would share as building good habits to improve your confidence daily.
Once I had a session, and I remember this client of mine started saying all the to-do list for the next day. And the list was non-ending. Okay.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I have one question. How much time do you believe each of these tasks will take you? And he said approximately 1 hour each, maybe less, but usually 1 hour each. There are few that might need, minutes. And I said, okay, brilliant. Because I'm writing down everything you said, and we are more than 24, an hour has 24 hours. So the months aren't nothing.
Yep. Yep. We often underestimate the time it takes to complete a task. We do it so often, not because we're super confident in our abilities, but because we want to believe that this is going to take less than it really takes. And that creates a problem. And plus, like I said, I think maybe we're not taught, maybe somehow, somewhere, we started understanding to-do lists as this never-ending
Course.
list of things. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
But you know,
Like
it's
a
not.
supermarket list.
Yeah, but even a supermarket list, like you add a certain number of things and you're like, okay, this is going to cost too much. I have to get rid of some
Yeah.
things. Or, you know, I'm not going to carry 20
Yeah.
kilos, so I have to get rid of something. Same thing with a business to-do list. So I agree. I think it's really important to understand that you have a limited time and you want to focus on what matters in that limited time. If you've got more, you know, you get things done sooner than you thought. Wonderful. You can choose whether you want to keep working or you want to take a break. And taking a
Mm,
break is also important.
I think one of the biggest part that make a huge impact of who I am, let's say, based on priorities and things like that, is because before coming an entrepreneur, I was an employee, and I was
Hmm.
working 10 years into agencies that I think everyone knows that is a really, a field of deadlines and things like that, and everything is urgent. And in reality, what is urgent? Like, what is urgent actually? And I have now this model that no one is chasing us. we are the only ones that we are chasing ourselves as entrepreneurs. I mean, okay, we have deadlines. Agree with that. Are we okay? We are being, having a deadline is important, but we are chasing ourselves, and it's like this circle of chasing us and putting
Right.
additional stress and additional, anxiety with actually what reason. I mean, okay, we need to do these things but sometimes all these worries not so real.
Plus,
I
it
don't.
slows us down. It slows us down. I would like to add as a solopreneur, um, or as an entrepreneur who's not working, it's not like outsourcing or you don't have partners, collaborators. Um,
Mm,
if you get to decide your deadline, then you're absolutely in control. If you're given a deadline, sometimes we can't control that, which is totally fine. Let's say you're working for a client has a particular deadline, you have to meet that deadline, fine. What we usually do is we start freaking out. The problem with freaking out is it's fine, it's a feeling, we go through it. But the problem is that it makes us procrastinate because when you freak out, you can't think clearly. And then, you go into the loop. So I would suggest seeing deadlines as a challenge, as a way for you to show how much you can get done in a given amount of time, as a way to maybe showcase your skills, improve, grow, whatever it is. But it shouldn't be seen as this almighty, terrible thing that's coming onto you, because it's really not. But if you start stressing out, your productivity goes down immediately. So it's okay to acknowledge. You can say, oh my God, I'm freaking out. I have this deadline. But then like 10 seconds later, you're like, all right, let's see how
mm.
I can get this done. And even if it seems impossible, fine. Let's see what you can get done. Because I think the freaking out, it really, really slows us down.
Yes, and adding also that sometimes when the deadline is given to us, because I have been working into that also, when I was freelancing, um, you have questions to support you. Like, okay, I'm overwhelmed frequently. What I need to do?
Huh. Yeah, yeah.
Should I expand the team? Should I be more cautious on when I deliver the projects? Or, there are things and questions you need to ask to yourself and see and check in with you, because being constant overwhelmed is not helping no one. First of all, it's costing you your health, your energy, your productivity, your creativity, and whatever,
Absolutely.
is
Absolutely.
your special ingredient to be, the entrepreneur, the figure, or, the person you want to be. And it's
Mm,
definitely costing you. And
mm,
and sometimes it's costing us more money, energy, time than just relaxing and resting. And I'll say that really, really often. Taking time to rest is actually recharging you, and is saving you more time than hustling, and want to do everything right now with not having any capacity of energy, not productivity, and just
mm.
forcing yourself around it.
True.
So
True. True.
just
Yeah.
just acknowledge where we are, and our capacity is really important. And also, as a tips about confidence, I'm gonna say self-care is really important. Really, really important is when we need to take care of us, and adding to the resting part wins, as you said. But also, I understand that our posture is also really important, because how you want to feel confidence if your shoulders are down. It's like, stand up. And usually when I talk, I'm sitting at the end of the chair, because I love, doing my hairs and moving, around it, and things like that. But find how you feel more empowered. Like, uh, if you don't feel like confidence today, put your favorite shirt. Like, things like that make huge impact on how you
Yes.
feel. And
Yep.
if you have, and it's gonna sound silly, but if you have clothes that are too tight and you don't feel comfortable, or you know, too big, too small, too, not sure how to match them or things like that, and you know, give them to a charity, I don't know, but don't wear them because they, affect how you feel. I mean, how you
Mm.
dress up, how what you are consuming is really affecting your
Yep.
confidence. And I said it earlier, it might sound silly and nothing, but it really makes a huge impact
Agreed. Absolutely.
on,
Absolutely.
on not only how you feel, but on how you behave. I mean,
Mm. Yep. Agreed. Agreed. I was reading a book. I can't remember the author, but it's called "It Takes What It Takes," and it's written by a mental conditioning coach who works
mm,
with professional athletes. And one of the things he said in the book that was really, I guess, eye-opening for me. Not that I didn't know it, but I didn't really think about it all that much. The music you listen to, for people who are very much into music, um, the music you listen to can affect your mood, absolutely.
mm,
But so I knew, if I listen to slow songs or sad songs, maybe I'm going to start feeling sad. But I didn't think about it in terms of my performance and in terms of my confidence. But when you think about it, it's so true. The messages that you get subconsciously through the music, through songs, same thing with like listening to the news, reading, whatever it is. So not only, what you eat, how you sleep, and so on, but also what content, Instagram, Facebook, all the social media, the content that you consume affects your confidence. It affects how you feel about yourself. And that's really important.
adding to that, I want to say that sometimes we need to take the time to be intentional. Like
True. Mm.
before, I mean, we are doing this live, let's say in lunch break, but it's too hot here now. So my lunch break, yeah, my lunch break, transfer at 3 o'clock p.m. because it's too hot to eat something now. So I'm just, enjoying fruits and things like that. And before the live, I wanted to, have a fruit to fuel, myself before the live. And I was standing in front of the fridge and I was thinking what I crave now. I grabbed one fruit and then I said, no, I don't want this. And it it sounds nothing, but it really is because
Mm.
you're being intentional with your decisions, your choices, what you want and what you don't want. And when you are being intentional and you are being, confident about your even fruits, and and being able then to enjoy the fruit you choose and not just force yourself to eat something else because you choose it initially. There are things that sound silly, but actually make a lot of impact on how step by step, how you at the end of the day, how you feel and how your confidence is boosted. Like daily win self-care, like taking enough sleep. There's also tons of tools, and in one of my webinars I share the tool of positive shower. Usually you can do it with others, but you can do a positive shower with yourself, and you might do it, actually being in the shower and positive shower yourself with thoughts and things like that and statements. There's so many things you can do. There's so many things that they will not work for you, but so many other things that we will work for you. And also one kind reminder, um, I publish an entire book that is journaling your wins every day. And I was supposed to be someone that wasn't liking journaling. And I love journaling now. Sometimes we assume something about ourselves, but if we don't have the confidence and the courage to step out and try it. And honestly, for me, it was a challenge. It was a
Mm.
challenge to, test myself and really, go beyond and see, let's try this. Let's try this and see what I'm getting out of it. So try things and see what are you getting out of it, and boost your confidence also through that with testing and trying things. Because at the end of the day, what are you fearing of? It might be your new reality, not your new reality as a fear, but as that at the end of the day, it wasn't that hard. It was just, all that big fear was just a simply one tiny step with your toes that you needed to take. And you just, again, needed to take the step. As simple as that, as it sounds.
Right. Adding to being intentional about things. If there's something you don't know, let's say you started a bit, or you're running a business and your business is about to go to the next level, and you don't know how to go about it. One, you can choose to learn if this is something that is the best
Yes.
use of your time, energy, but then you'd have to be thinking, okay,
Yes.
so what is it that I need to learn to go to the next level? If you can't learn, or it seems like you don't have the time to do it, and you have the ability to ask someone else, do it, delegate, get a mentor, get a consultant. It depends on where you are and what you can afford, but we usually have those two options. Maybe there's a third, like a mix of both, but if you can learn it and if that's the best use of your time, learn it. I mean, you've come this far, you're going to learn this. It may be challenging, but whatever, you're taking it one step at a time. Or get help, and help doesn't have to cost millions. Sometimes, there are various mastermind groups you can join, or asking a friend for advice, or even sometimes what really helps is talking to somebody who has no idea what you're doing, because they can give you an out of the box perspective. So these are some of the things that are going to help. How is this related to confidence? Well, you don't feel confident that you can go to the next level if you keep thinking, well, I don't know what it takes. So your confidence keeps going down. This is how you find out what it takes. For example,
For example.
oh, no, that was the example.
Okay, so I didn't, sorry, I thought you were sharing another
No,
example.
that's okay. But it's pretty much it. It just, like you said, another thing now that you you got me thinking. Another thing, I was talking to actually our accountability partner, Anne Marie. What she said is seeing um, issues or failures as tryouts. So you're trying things out. It's a challenge. Really rephrasing how we perceive things, it helps. It's still the same thing. And somebody would say, yes, but it's still a problem. It is a problem, but in your brain is not perceiving it as an obstacle anymore. It perceives it as a challenge. So it gets into the problem solving mode. That's a big difference. So there are a lot of subconscious things that are happening as we work on our confidence, as we move through life in general.
Few days ago, I saw randomly someone that I knew for it's been years since we saw each other again, and it was randomly. Cyprus is a small island, so I was in the mall and saw him and say hi, and we were just standing there and saying and he was asking me what I do now, and I said, from the time you saw me, I'm a completely different person. Like, he knew me as an employee. I think I was starting my first business 7 years ago. And 7 years ago, it might be, long, but it's also a huge transformation of who you are. And now that I know failures, for me, this is one of my biggest mottos, is that is one of your biggest business assets. I proudly say and confidently say that I made so many mistakes in my first business, so many mistakes that I feel like there's possible mistakes that I made them all, okay? And I was so thirsty when I started my first business, and I was asking questions and things like that, and even this protect me from additional mistakes. But all these mistakes later on in the future, into the next businesses, into, things like that, now I not also boost my confidence, because I knew I tried to fail and I knew kind of the way, and it wasn't so horrible because I failed or I done this mistake. There is so much time to either, fix the mistake, or either learn from the mistake, or rather grow from the mistake, or, make the mistake valuable, or, leverage the mistake. And it's so important to understand that it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. And it's also part of your confidence, because if you're not afraid failure, then, you easily step out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. And some of the people out there may be thinking, well, it's easy for you to say, just make a mistake and go with the flow. I can share that I do not like making mistakes. I am the kind of person who, when I do things, I do them right. So I'm very intentional about what I do. But then, as I started my business, I realized I can't just choose what to avoid. Sometimes you just have to go through things. And I'm still not comfortable making mistakes. But what helps me is, one, I acknowledge how I feel. So every time I make a mistake, I say, all right, that was not the best thing to do. You could have done better. Okay. Now you can choose. You can beat yourself up for the next 3 days and just feel horrible about yourself and keep nagging about the mistake that you made. Or you can learn something from it. And eventually, this feeling of you could have, should have known better is going to go away. So
Yeah.
I completely understand that you don't feel, if someone out there is not feeling comfortable making a mistake, it's fine. I don't feel comfortable either. But then you have a choice to make. You can do something about it that's going to help you, or you can just stay stuck. But these are the choices that you have. And when you see them that way, it's like, well, I don't want to be stuck. So, you know, you just kind
Yeah.
of go with the flow, and you keep going. So maybe this helps somebody, but I know, accepting mistakes is not as easy for
Yes.
everybody, and
But
that's fine.
just to clarify, it's not that I'm doing a mistake or a failing or something and I'm just, yes, I failed.
No, but there are people who are looking forward to it because it's a learning opportunity.
Yeah, it
But
is.
it just, for us,
Yes.
for some people, it's easier to accept it and
Yeah.
keep going. For
Yes.
others, it's harder.
Yeah.
So,
Good
that
point.
my point was, you
Yes.
have a choice.
Yes. Good point. Good point. We have a question here, and I'm trying
Mhm.
to read it because I'm okay. My question is, what is your perspective on visual roles in business? Visual can boost the confidence or not, according to you?
Uh, I guess as in visualizing things, I'm assuming that's what it
Yeah,
refers to.
I'm trying to, if you're hearing us, and I know it's a bit of the delay in the live, can you clarify more? Because I'm also confusing on, because visual is so many things. I mean, it might be the identity,
Right,
like that. Shall
right.
we go to the next question when,
Um, so because we're almost out of time,
oh, yes,
and
you're right.
I just wanted to address it in case this person was thinking about visualizations, they
Mm,
definitely help because it boosts your confidence. That's actually a great question. It
yes.
helps you because when you get to do something, it doesn't feel like it's the first time you're doing it.
Mm,
So very often when we're visualizing things, you're in your mind, you're
mm,
going through the steps.
yes,
Like
you're right.
practicing for a public speaking event or whatever it is, practicing for a game for professional athletes. If you can see the steps in your mind, then you have more confidence to go about it. Or even if you don't see the steps, but you see the end goal, that excites you. It keeps you going. So absolutely, I think visualizations are a great way to boost your confidence.
Mm, okay. I'm writing now to let us know if we answer your question,
And
because
if not, you can always
yes,
message
yes,
us
I
and
was gonna say that. And yeah, I think we are ready to wrap our another.
Well, are we really ready? I
No, we
think we
are
could go
not.
on, but I
No, we
completely
are not.
agree. The questions that we didn't get to answer, we'll answer them. So just let us know, message us if there's anything that's left. We'll be happy to
Yes,
send you
yes,
a
yes.
message or just write it publicly.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, I was gonna say that there is, feel free to either message one of us or comment, or whatever you feel more,
Absolutely.
you, and we will answer any questions. Or either if you watch this live later on and you have more questions, or either I missed one comment, we will get back to you.
Yes, ma'am. We'll definitely address it.
Great. Thank you so much for joining me
Thank
again.
you. Thank you. I love these and I'm looking forward to the next one. In the
Yes.
meantime, trust your abilities. You can do it.
Yes, yes, indeed. Wishing
All
you,
right.
everyone, a lovely day or a lovely night based on where you are. Bye.
Exactly. Bye.